Hi everybody, this is Diane. They are ready for me to show you. These are the Christmas Sweets journals that I've been working on. I really enjoyed working with the beautiful fabrics that Angela sent to me. So thank you so much, Angela. And I did purchase some digital kits to go along with the things that I already had so that I could just do these fabrics justice and have a cohesive journal. And I will link these kits below, but for the Peppermint kit, I think, or journal, I think it was, I used from Kay and May, an Etsy shop, and I used her kit, Christmas Cooking, and you'll really enjoy seeing those retro red and green and just really beautiful images if you like the mid-century retro look. That's in there. And then I'd never heard of Kay and May before. And also I had never heard of Dandelionary. And for this one, I got Gingerbread watercolor clip art and Gingerbread House paper pack. It's not a journal kit. It would be a 8.5 by 11 paper, but it had a lot of nice gingerbread signs. And for this one, I got from My Porch Prints Yummy Pink Christmas tags and Yummy Pink junk journal kit. And I still have a lot of stuff left from that. I didn't print everything from these kits. I just printed the things that would be appropriate for these themed journals. So let's get into this. One is a smaller one than the others. I used as the base, and I was going to have one handy to show you, but I used one of these Amazon bags, and it's a brown craft paper, and it's crinkly. It's padded. So I just folded it in half and made it into a journal cover. So you have a crinkly journal here if you like that. This one was a slightly smaller envelope, which I didn't even realize till I was partway through the process of making it. So the height of the journal is 8.5. And the width of the journal, it's quite chunky, so it's rounded, is about 6.5. It's got sari silk that you can wrap around it. If you don't like it that long, certainly you can cut that off. This is the novelty fabric, the main focus fabric that I chose, that Angela sent me, and it was these beautiful hot pink candy canes on black fabric. And she also sent me this pink fabric that goes really well, and I just put this pink crochet trim to kind of hide the seams between those two. So this part is covered with the envelope. This part right here is the envelope. I think one of my little beads just fell off. I'll have to look for that later and put it back on. And this part is fabric and quilt batting, and I do have a video showing how I constructed these journals. So I do have some bead dangles. One of them just flew off, but I'll fix that. There are 5 fabric tabs in each journal, but I only put on 3 dangles that I just put together. And the inside is lined with fabric, and I made a fabric pocket here, which I apparently have to glue down better. Let's put that glue on right now before I forget. I just finished all of the details of these journals, and it's Friday afternoon, and I really want to get this video done before I call it quits for the week. Okay, so I didn't realize when I made this fabric pocket that I was making it with the same fabric that I had lined it with. So I just put a piece of lace at the top to kind of let you know that there is a pocket there. It's kind of camouflaged. And I just pieced a couple of fabric pieces on it. Put this little pom-pom trim on there. Each journal has a tag that I stamped with my Peppermint Candies stamps with your This Book Belongs To. And this is from TLC Creates Vintage journal kit that I used last year, I think it was, and it was, there were two of them that I used, and one was for Christmas cocoa and one was for Christmas cookies. This was the Christmas cocoa, but there's some hot pink in there, and Christmas cocoa is another Christmas sweet, so I used a couple of pages of that. This is one of the My Porch Prints tags from the tag kit with a candy cane on it. And here is the other half of that, probably. Is it the same thing? Nope, not quite. So I didn't do any inking on the elements that I added. I wanted everything to stay nice and bright. I put a little list sheet here that says my never-ending Christmas list, and there is a tag. That's probably from My Porch Prints too. I'm not going to keep mentioning the names of the kits. I will just link them all below. But I love this page. It is so pretty and soft. Kind of tones down the bright pink. There's one of my candy stamps. This is a recipe book. It was a holiday recipe book from the current catalog. So and it's vintage, but this was a Christmas page. And this side was Thanksgiving, so I covered it up with vintage ledger paper and just some things I glued down. Put a fabric flip here. You can write on these lines, or you can glue a picture or some memorabilia or something else if you want to write on something else. This is from, I think that's from Studio 28E. So I did use pieces that I had left over from last year. There's a vintage music book page, and this is Jingle Bells. I reinforced the fold. There's a digital pocket there from one of these kits, and you did get some vintage postcards and Christmas cards in these journals. So this is a real vintage postcard, and it is dated, I don't know, I can't read the date, but it's really cute. They don't go with the candy theme, but I put them in there anyway. That looks like a sugar cookie. This is a candy cane that I made with my gingerbread cricket, and this is just scrapbook paper. And Angela also sent me this tinsel-y fabric, which was really cool. So I just cut little strips of it and sewed it around the edges of some of the pages. And I tucked some tags into the candy cane, added some pom-pom there. And on this side is a little envelope. This is a piece of vintage wrapping paper that I cut out and glued to the back of the envelope. And there's nothing in the envelope. You can tuck something in there. There's a little kind of a paper doily, but it's not all cut out. Just a plate liner with snowflakes on it. This is one of those gingerbread pages, not a journal page, just a paper. But look at all the cute elements on that. And there was pink in all of these kits. Well, not the Kay and May Christmas cooking one. That was pretty traditional colors. But the Dandelionary and the My Porch Prints items that I purchased had a lot of pink in them. There's another stamp there with a teddy bear and a candy cane poking out of the stocking. I used one page from a vintage children's book of The Night Before Christmas, and I chose the page with the sugar plums dancing in their heads. This is a little, things are falling off my table. Just a scrapbook paper, double-sided paper that I turned into a side pocket that opens up. Put some ledger paper on there that you can write on. Added some gold and red ribbon and just a little punch out. And that's just scrapbook paper. And I do have some elements in here from Tsunami Rose for Christmas Ephemera. I chose the pages that had candy cane images. I have a little gingerbread boy stamp, so I stamped him down the side of the page. This is from the Kay and May set. This was a leftover piece. And just tucked a little pink tag in there. Love this pink paper. And I printed on the back side of it also. This is from a book of Christmas poems by Helen Steiner Rice. There's a candy cane featured on the other side. I chose scrapbook paper that just looked candy-ish to me. I didn't have Christmas paper, but I chose some red and pink papers. I did some stenciling there. This is vintage gift wrap with candy canes on it. Perfect. This is a little cutout from that wrapping paper. Here's another different Night Before Christmas book. This is a little golden book. And here is from TLC Creates Vintage, I forgot the name of the kit, but it has these fun lists that you can write on in notes and things. So I used that, but I also added to that side of it. I must have cut something off of that edge of the paper, so I just added this to it. Here is an envelope from my Porch Prints, and I put a recipe card with gingerbread boys and candy canes and this digital. Tuck them inside, and that's the center of the signature. Here is one of the gingerbread watercolor clip art pieces. And I just tucked a couple of tags in there. I had this square scrap of this peppermint candy piece. That's all I had of it, about 3 inches square. And I didn't know what to do with it, but then I decided to just make it into a collage with a tag and make it into a tuck spot. This is the other side of the Helen Steiner Rice page. There's the candy cane hanging on a tree. I made a large banner cluster. There were 2 banners with the My Porch Prints kit, and this is one of them. And I just cut some other pieces to add to it. I had this cluster from a vintage gift tag and some other pieces. I'd made that several years ago, but because it's pink and this has bright pink, I used it today in this journal. There's some more gingerbread boys dancing across the bottom of the page. And I made a gingerbread house with my Cricut, the same cartridge that I used for the candy cane that I made. And I just paired it with a little piece of scrapbook paper to make a nice little tuck spot. There's one of the Tsunami Rose pieces. I'm only going to link the digital kits that I purchased new this year. This is one of them. Tsunami Rose has a website. She's not on Etsy, but it's tsunamirose.net, I think. Here's another stamp. Some more tinsel-y fabric. Another little gingerbread figure that I cut with my Cricut. And then this was a couple of tags from one of the digital kits, and I left them together and added some pockets on the inside and just tucked a couple of little things in the pockets. Candy canes up there. This is from a vintage napkin that had a lot of different images on it, and I cut out the ones with the candy canes. I added some ruffled up sari silk there. And here is the other side of the recipe book. It says Christmas goodies, and must be all of these recipes were in the book, and this is just the beginnings of chocolate covered cherries. It doesn't have the whole recipe. This is one of the clip art pieces, I believe, from Dandelionary. The My Porch Prints digitals are always so pretty. This is a digital that I made with an original postcard that I had, and I chose it because she has the pink dress on. I hope you will spend a jolly Christmas and that it will last until next Christmas. I put it on as a pocket and then tucked in some more of the clip art pieces that look like cookies. You can write on the backs of them. Just so much fun. This is one of the Tsunami Rose images with a candy cane. And I made these tags. And I think with that slotted, the shape of that slot, it would be difficult to put a tie through there, like a tie seam binding or something. So I just threaded some red and white thick twine and knotted it and just looped a little tiny tag on it. And on the back is another digital postcard and a real vintage postcard tucked inside. Again, no date. I love this one. I don't know what it is about it. And another Tsunami Rose piece with candy canes. I just added some lace and just sewed around the edges. The sewing doesn't do anything except hold that little piece of lace on. And then I pieced the inside of the flap with 3 different fabrics. And on the flap is a piece of a vintage doily. This is the sari silk shedding. I added that piece of doily with the ruffle around the edge. I thought it looked really cool. And then this vintage pink button. I thought that just really set it off. So there is candy cane. And these two are pretty close to the same size. This one is gingerbread, and it's 9.5 by 6.5. Gotta put the top back on my glue. And these are both made with the red and white, like a ticking fabric, but it's just a cotton. It's not thick like a normal ticking. Just a regular cotton fabric. And I used red sari silk for both of these. And let me show you what the fabric looks like. It's got some sparkles. And I used a piece of, it's a doily that I took apart, but it has the cotton center and then the crochet around it, and added a vintage button, which I thought looked really good with the gingerbread. The inside has this beautiful red and green and gold fabric, also sent from Angela. And I made a pink polka dot pocket with some gold rickrack. And this was cut from a piece of fabric. Looks like a gift tag. And added some pom-poms to the bottom. This is a sheet that got printed small, so I just folded it up and tucked it in there. And another of the tags that I made. This one again is from Studio 28E, Red Christmas. Perfect for this with the gingerbread house and the gingerbread people. This is a postage stamp that I had. I just glued it there. I actually just put the glue on it and then I went to put it to place it and I dropped it. So I just pressed it down. That's where it fell. Here's a snowman fabric. I had some words, so I cut Christmas words. So I cut out cookies and just sewed it to a piece of red ribbon. Here's another page from that current Christmas cookbook. And look at that bead. It had to go in the candy cane, or in one of these books, right, with the candy. Another one of those pages that got printed small. And a gingerbread man tag with some pom-poms. And a little gingerbread cup from my Cricut, just tucked in there. Another piece of that vintage gift wrap, and I just put a scrap piece of paper here and a little bit of lace. I made this pocket with pink cardstock, and I have a paper punch that punches those holes, and then I put some white cardstock behind that and just added one of those clip art pieces. And here is a vintage postcard. It's got a pink ribbon, and this is dated 1907. That is pretty old. Here's another of the tags. I just added a little bit that I cut from an old wrapping paper. It's got a gingerbread man on it. Here's a pocket or an envelope with a gingerbread man, and nothing inside this one either. Here's a side pocket that I made. This is a vintage wrapping paper piece that I fussy cut. It's a wreath with gingerbread cookies on it. Backed it with cardstock. And I put in a couple of digitals and a vintage Christmas card with the envelope. It was unused. Another gingerbread house cut with my Cricut. And here is a Christmas envelope that I got from Dreams Etc. last year. And again, I used the same tag and made some pockets inside. I just did a little collage on this page with scraps of paper, and this was punched out from one of the digital pages where I had cut this large gingerbread house out of the digital page, and I punched those from the scraps. And this is from the clip art. I printed 4 to a page and it made it pretty small, but it's just the right size for that collage. Here's a piece together pocket. Actually, it's all this pocket, and I just sewed this scrap of gingerbread to it and put some rickrack over the seam and added that just for fun. A couple of tags. Those big tags are from my porch prints. There's another Baby It's Cold Outside cup of hot cocoa and a gingerbread cookie. Some Sorry Silk and gold rickrack. Here's the other banner that comes with the My Porch Prints kit, and I just used scrapbook paper scraps to make the bigger pieces to go with it. And I made this side tuck with a scrapbook paper scrap that I backed with cardstock and added some eyelet, and I love this ribbon with the pink, 2 shades of pink and the brown. It's just perfect with the gingerbread. It's a gingerbread brown color. And there's another digital and a Christmas card. Again, unused, but I don't have the envelope for it. This is just a little pocket that I made with a little tuck here. I just put a couple little tags in there and tucked a couple of digitals behind it. And then here is the gingerbread house that I talked about, and another tag with one of the little top note tags hanging on it, and a vintage postcard. No date. This one is called Gingerbread. And then lastly, we have Peppermints. Here's the fabric for that one. And I just collaged some of those pieces of the napkins and then this little scrap of fabric that I happen to have. And I added the vintage doily piece again, and this one has a vintage yo-yo, fabric yo-yo that came off an old quilt, and then another button. And I pieced the inside with this gingham fabric, and then, I covered the whole inside with the gingham, and then these two pieces make the flap, the inside flap. The inside pocket is a piece of fabric with some pieces just stitched to the top, and a vintage postcard here. I put this My Never Ending Christmas list on the front, and because it is a never-ending list, it's also on the back. This is a little gift tag with a candy cane on it. Now this is the book that has the Kay and May Christmas cooking kit, and this is the size of the pages. They're smaller than the book, but I like that we get some different sizes in the pages. But the bright reds and greens elements, those are that digital kit, including that. And I just tucked these pieces in that you can make little notes on them. This is a piece of vintage bias tape in a plaid. This is a card that was just the front of the card. Must have come in a box of vintage stuff, and somebody wrote on it, "To Phyllis with much love," and a whole bunch of names on it, but I left it. I could have cut around it to make this a cute little tuck spot, but I left it the way it is. This little mouse is really getting into the peppermint candy jar, and I just had to put it in the peppermint journal. Here's another of those recipe cards, and a gingerbread girl, and a Christmas card, vintage. And the last page from the current recipe book, it says candy cane cookies on it. I should have put that in the candy cane book. This little pocket came with the kit, and I added this. This was one of the little cutout elements. There were some cards like this in the kit, and I think this might have been with the Dandelionary kit. Not positive. I think it was. And then this is from the Kay and May. Again, I made another pocket with cardstock, and using my paper punch, just added this element to it. I just realized that this snowman has two hats on. This one says ribbon candy up there. This is a page from a Christmas Ideals, and it's got peppermints in this jar. You'll see them on the other side. I added a fabric pocket and appliqued this piece of fabric to it. And this is a reproduction postcard. This was printed in 1980, so it is vintage, but it's not antique. There's an envelope here. I decorated it with a little piece of doily and one of the cutouts, and there's a little matching tag inside, little card. These tabs come with the kit. This is an vintage Christmas card that was used. The envelope is all scribbled up, but it's 1942. There's a couple of tags and a card. There's another cup of hot cocoa from the Christmas cocoa kit from last year. Something sticky there. I think I got it. This little piece with the ribbon candy on it. And this is from the Golden Book. And this is the page with the visions of sugar plums. This is from a kit from last year. And it's got a little writing paper on it. And this antique card, postcard, with no date. And this candy. And this is one of the envelopes from the Christmas Cocoa or Christmas Cookies kit. And I just added a little page that you can write on. That's why she wasn't tucked in there. She would have been glued in there if I had tucked her in. There's a doily up here. I kind of wrapped it over the top and added one of the cutout pieces. This is a pocket that I made from scrapbook paper and just tucked some little pieces in there. And tucked these behind. I sewed some lace to the edge. This was one long strip of candy and I cut it in half. The other piece with the ribbon candy. I remember having these. Do you remember those? My mother liked hard candy. And she always had a bowl of hard Christmas candies out at Christmas time. There's a little piece of lace up there. This is one of the gingerbread cutouts. I just glued it on there so it's hanging off the page. And I made this into a belly band. Just glued it to some cardstock, some patterned cardstock. I love this lollipop tag. There's more of those lollipops in that jar, and this is another of the cards. I glued this to the back, and it has a matching card in there. And another one of the pockets that flips open with ledger paper and pom-pom fringe, piece of wrapping paper. And there's the jar of peppermints from the Ideals book. And on this page I have a red doily and a vintage Christmas coaster. It can be a tuck spot. And there's an antique card, postcard. 1911. And there's a candy cane cookie. This, I think, is from My Porch Prints, and it was this and this. I folded it in half and just wrapped it around the page and made it a tuck spot. And a little pocket there with a matching tag, and another gingerbread house cut from that paper, and a tag, and or a journal card and a tag. So hope you like these fun Christmas journals. This was the kickoff to my Christmas journal creating for 2021, and I have 3 one signature journals that are packed full of stuff. We have peppermint, we have gingerbread, and we have candy cane. For some reason, the candy cane one is fuller at the mouth of it. So these are in my shop. You can follow the link below and check them out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back to see what's next. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.